Hi, everybody. So discussion question 2 this week deals with communication, nonverbal, selective bias, and things like that. Another fascinating management topic. And I think for me, one of the great challenges is the role, and maybe you want to focus on this a little bit in your discussions as well. Do you think technology today in the business world has a positive, negative, or both impact on how we communicate and how we perceive things? If you look at business 100 years ago, almost everything was face-to-face, and so there was an inherent need on the part of people to understand nonverbal communication better. Do you really need to be an expert or to have as much expertise in nonverbal communication as you do today? Especially since I teach online. I have been teaching online for 7 years. I have never physically met the person in charge, and there have been several over the years, who are in charge of my department, who are in charge of these online courses. So does it make sense that maybe over time our ability to understand nonverbal communication has decreased in a technological world? And if so, what other types of communication skills do we now need? What skills are necessary to understand the nuances and the inflection in emails, in voicemails? And does that lead to some degree of communication breakdown in modern business communication? I think to some degree it does. Sometimes I will get, and like I tend to, like if you ever take me in a classroom, right? I think generally I'm funny, I'm sarcastic, right? And I love sarcasm. But sarcasm does not translate well, either in texting, in emails, or things like that, because it's very difficult to understand inflection, the tone of my voice that would let you know that, I'm not really serious when I say certain things. So I think modern business communication now, managers need to be so in tune, not only to nonverbals, because you do have, at least depending on the organization, some degree of face-to-face, although I really do think people's abilities to read nonverbal communication is not as good as it once was. I probably will post a link too. There is something called emotional intelligence, which some people will argue is a greater predictor of success overall in business and in life than IQ or any of those other metrics. And that emotional intelligence is the ability to read and understand other people. I've taken that test. Oh my gosh, I suck at it. I'm terrible at it. And I think it doesn't help that I spend a lot of time using more electronic means of communication, in which the ability to read emotional states, to understand those things, are not as readily apparent, obviously, in that type of communication. So maybe you want to talk about that in your discussion as well. You can talk about, again, people, self-serving bias is a fascinating one. People tend to see what they want to see in other people. And in themselves for that matter, which by the way makes it really hard sometimes to accept feedback. We'll probably talk about that a little bit later in the discussion as well. But I look forward to seeing what you have to say on this topic this week as well.